This is On the Hunt at foxnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hunt. Welcome, everybody. You probably feel that you've read quite a lot, fictionally and non-fictionally, about the Iraq War, about all the wars that America has been involved in over the last decade and more. Well, it's unlikely you've read anything quite like this. This is a book called Redeployment. It has just won the National Book Award Prize for Fiction. It is by veteran Marine Captain Phil Clay, and it is a collection of fictional short stories that is, in the words of Dexter Filkins, a journalist I know very well, a journalist with the New York Times, the best thing written so far on what the war did to people's souls. I'm delighted now to be joined by Captain Phil Clay. Phil, thank you very much for being here, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
Phil, there's been a lot, as I say, written about the Iraq War, much of it by people who were there in the form of journalists or indeed veterans like yourself. Some have said they've done it as an act of catharsis. Some have done it simply to explain what they saw. Some have done it as a form of therapy, I guess. Why did you write Redeployment?
Well, I don't think it was therapy. I came back from Iraq in 2008, and I started writing a little bit after there. And I think I was trying to figure out, or to think about, not just what I had experienced and what I had seen. It's a book of fictional stories, and none of the characters do anything like what I did. But also the experiences of people that I'd known. And really, what was that? What was Iraq? What was that experience like for different people? And then what did America look like when we came home?
I think that's a particularly interesting part of it, Phil. What America looked like when you came home. Well, what exactly do you mean by that? Do you feel very distinctly that you left one country and came back to a different one?
In some ways, you feel that way. I remember during my deployment, I had leave, and I came home in the middle of it, and I'd seen a Marine in a combat hospital in Iraq who had died about a week previous. And I'd seen a lot of injured civilians there. And I flew back to New York and was walking down Madison Avenue. It was a beautiful day in the summer, and just sort of felt like, wow, there is no sense that we're a nation at war. And, that's part of, being a member of the all-volunteer military. There's very few people who serve. And it's very easy, even as a veteran, once you get out, to feel disconnected from the fact that we're sending men and women overseas.
And do you feel that is an important part, therefore, of this book, and winning something as prestigious as the National Book Award, that people will read this, and more people will read it now with such a prestigious award, and you can introduce people a little bit more, make them understand the sacrifices of those who served and what you guys have been through?
I hope so. I think it's very important for us to have a discussion about the current wars. A discussion that goes beyond, the sometimes sort of more superficial narrative that people hold, and start really thinking about what that means. And this book is, in many ways, it's my offering to that conversation.
And it's about people, Phil. It seems to me more than the war, the politics of the war, any of that. It's about people. What you're writing generally.
Yes, it's inviting the readers to step inside the heads of these Marines, the soldier. There's one State Department Foreign Service officer is the narrator of one of the stories, and to think about the choices that those people make, what they did, and also how they live with it and think about it afterwards.
Now, Phil, you obviously lived this. This war. Your writing, while fictional, is obviously informed by all of your experiences on a daily basis while you were in Iraq. So why make it fiction? What was your point in doing that?
I think you can actually, for me personally, I can get to the truth better in fiction. I can narrow in on what I want to talk about. It's the only place where you can, as I said, invite the reader into the heads of these different people and allow them to imagine it from those perspectives. And I think about it this way, like, the Iliad doesn't get a lot of the technical details of the Trojan War, right? If there was a Trojan War veteran, he'd probably complain about, Homer didn't know how to use chariots. But every veteran since that book first came out has read it and thought, okay, these are truths that describe my conflict. And I think that fiction allows you to really put some of the things that you're thinking about, that you're mulling over in your head, under a lot of pressure, and you create these characters around them that you have to make real, and allows you to explore things in a very different way from journalism. There's also been just tremendous journalism from the Iraq War as well. But for me personally, it's the best way that I know how to think something through and to really get inside that experience.
And Phil, I guess that it's obviously the critics love this. A lot of journalists who covered the Iraq War, as I mentioned earlier, think that this is a great book. I just get the feeling, though, that the critics you would care most about are those men and women with whom you served. How have they taken it? What has their reaction been?
I've received a lot of really positive feedback from a lot of different types of veterans. And it's been very gratifying. And also, one of the things that happens when you write a book like this and then go around the country and give talks and do readings is that people will come up to you and they'll tell you their story, which has been a real privilege.
And Phil, this winning the National Book Award puts you in the company of the likes of William Faulkner, Norman Mailer. Is this your new life then now as a writer? What is next for you?
I'll keep writing. I'll say that. I'll certainly keep writing.
Well, it's an extraordinary start to what will no doubt be an extraordinary writing career. The book is Redeployment. It's by veteran Marine Captain Phil Clay. And Phil, just thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right. That is Marine Captain Phil Clay, the book Redeployment. You saw it on the screen just there. Available iTunes bookstore, any place you want to download it these days, or even if you can find a good old-fashioned bricks-and-mortar bookstore, maybe you can buy it there. This has been On the Hunt at foxnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hunt.